that's focused entirely on resource recovery. We are also, participating and I think we're going to play a larger role in strategic energy management at the plant. And this is my first of these. I am not, I'm not 100% sure that I'm. Anyway, I'm joining to understand the team, understand how I can contribute. My background is wastewater operations, and then spent some time in consulting, doing design, facility planning, a range of other activities. And then I spent a bit of time in capital program management, and then in the current role. So really looking forward to hearing from you all and learning from you. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Scott Haskins.
Yeah, I already.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Go right on to the next person.
Keith Tyson.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Or at least it's morning here. I don't know what it is out there. I guess it's morning on the Pacific Coast too, right? So anyway, I'm the Director of the Innovation and Research Office here at WSSC Water, working with James, and we're kind of trying to explore how we can determine better the reliability of our pumps and motors, as James talked about. We have had previously installed a energy management software called Dorcedo that didn't work too well. Our operators didn't like it. So they finally work on the concept of, I got to pump 160 million gallons of water every day, and I don't really care how much it costs as long as I make that, as long as I meet that demand. And so I think that's the real conundrum, is that, we've got in our main pumping station, we have 8 pumps, and they run whatever pumps they need to meet the demand. They don't really care what the efficiency is or what the cost is. And we have an energy management team in our general services department, but their job is to get energy as cheaply as possible. So, we have solar, we have 4 megawatts of solar panels installed. We have wind contracts to buy wind energy, and they're all about reducing the cost through contracting and all those kinds of things. We do we mostly pump at night, so we get a better rate. Try to fill up the tanks every night. But again, they're not focused on what am I running the most efficient pumps. It's am I meeting the water demand? So we're kind of trying to start in the back door of going through the maintenance people to see if we can give them the tools to be able to manage the pump reliability more effectively. So we started a team internally to try to start exploring that, and that's kind of where we are. If we get to the point where it makes sense to involve our energy management group in, we will, but we're kind of just exploring, how do we get more data that to our, you would think our cost people would be more interested in the data, but they don't seem to be either. So our finance people, I'm not sure why that is, but having the operations or the systems operation team having had this software installed before, and then they ended up not using it because it didn't give them enough data real time, I think was the big issue. Or it was, it would tell them, okay, in 5 minutes ago, you needed to change from pump 1 to pump 4. And of course, for them, it's not an easy thing to go and turn one pump off and another pump on. It's a big deal. So I think that's where they kind of fell down. But we're happy to provide any information and experiences we can, but that's kind of where we are in the energy management world at this moment. So.
Okay, thank you. And Zanetta, English? Nope, you're on mute.
Get myself on mute. Yeah, I had to take the time. My name is Zonetta English, and I'm in the innovation department at MSD. I've been in operations for most of my career, so I'm the Strategic Initiative and Project Delivery Director. I've been involved with the UAM and programming Moving Wise since its inception, but this actual committee here, work group, is really a big part of my job, believe it or not, and so of all the other things I do. But anyway, just real briefly, we have two initiatives. We have our second largest capital project for our biosolids management program. So we're going to have thermal hydrolysis. So of course, we're looking at that in terms of increasing our biogas production and renewable energy. So I'm tasked with that on that project. And then the other thing that we've done, which we've also, have talked with Great Lakes Water Authority, we've actually implemented the AquaSite at artificial intelligence. And so I have implemented that at one facility, and implemented a second one, and we're actively looking at how we're saving our energy, our pump efficiencies. And so I'm actually setting up the metrics for not only the implementation of it, but tracking what the true costs are. So, we're really leading that effort in terms of energy management and reporting back to our mayor in terms of, sustainability, renewable energy, and hopefully our audacious goal is to get into net zero as possible. And so just a few things to be done. So looking forward to getting information from you guys and learning and sharing what we're doing or trying to do. Thank you.
I just wanted to share one more thing. Based on what Zanetta said, we're building a bioenergy facility where we're going to be installing Canby THP system, and then capturing the biogas through our anaerobic digesters. And so that's a big project. It's going to be finished in 2024. And we're going to be generating bioenergy gas credits out of that. We'll be pumping the gas back into the line and then using gas from the line. It's amazing. I think we get $30 I don't know, a million cubic meters of gas. We get $30, and we only pay $3 if we take it out of the pipeline. So we're going to run the generators off the pipeline and pump the gas back in for the credits. It's kind of interesting concept, but
yeah,
anyway.
I wanted to tell you, we plan on trying to come and you're ahead of us, thank God. So we've already gotten some DC Water even told me that I need to talk with you. So we're looking forward to seeing where you're headed, and you can help me avoid some of those avoid some mistakes and learn lessons. So we're looking forward to your all's project. So yeah, we are real quick. I shortlisted 2 teams, and so we're evaluating them now. So we'll be making a selection. And one of the 2 teams definitely has Canby on it. So yeah, we're excited. I've been working on it for 5 years.
Yeah, it's a long project.
It is a long project.
Going on for, we're in the second year of construction, and it was 3 or 4 years before that when they started the design. So
yeah.
Thank
you.
Definitely a long haul.
Yes, thank you.
Josh, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to chime in because it sounds relevant now, which is that City of Portland, our Columbia Boulevard wastewater treatment plant, we've built and we're nearing completion on a renewable natural gas upgrading facility. So that'll take 100% of our gas to pipeline quality. So that might be another topic area. I'm not exactly sure of the sort of scope of this group, but that's certainly a big part of my role is managing the credits and the markets and all of the compliance requirements. We also have a cogeneration system, and we just awarded a construction project for organic waste receiving facility. So we'll be co-digesting. It's food waste that's coming to us from organics diversion that is happening in our metro area. So our solid waste agency is phasing out the ban. Eventually there'll be a ban on commercial food waste going to the landfill, and we're working on an intergovernmental agreement with them now to accept their the food waste, which is going to start ramping up starting in 2022. But our facility will come online late in 2023, so we'll be ready to take that food waste and co-digest it. So I guess that's something I can share with the group, and thanks for listening.
Great, thank you. So we have some to continue the agenda today. We're going to be discussing
I'm sorry, George Friedrich is with us from Metro Vancouver.
Oh, I missed George. I'm sorry. Sorry
Okay.
about
That's
that.
all right, no problem. The international contingent, I guess. So George Friedrich, I'm with Metro Vancouver. I lead our energy management group, a small group of 3 of us. We work with all our departments, so our water, our wastewater, and our other 4 departments. So we're kind of spread pretty thinly across the organization. Our main role, I guess, is implementing our corporate energy management policy that was adopted by our board in 2014. I guess what I'm hoping, I'm hearing a lot of really interesting stuff that everybody's doing. My main interest, I think, in this group is helping us to understand what others are doing to help me get traction on our program. Our management, how do I say this? We don't have a strong cost management driver in our organization. And although we have a policy, we've made relatively modest progress in implementing that policy over the last 7 years. So I'm hoping to learn from you all about how you've managed to kind of get traction for what you're trying to do. We have been and continue to be partially funded by our provincial electricity utility to implement a strategic energy management program. And our policy cites ISO 50001 as our kind of guiding principles. But again, we've made very modest progress in doing that. And I think a lot of it has to do with something that I heard at least one of the other people mention is cost. We got to get water treated, we got to get wastewater treated. Whatever it costs, it costs. And that has been a huge hurdle to try and clear. So I guess that's, in addition to a lot of other interesting stuff that I heard, that's kind of our main challenge here. And I think a lot of it has to do with aversion to change. So yeah, that's where we're coming from. Thanks.
Well, I think that's a great point, because Cello and I were talking earlier that energy is the #2 cost on operations and maintenance in general for water and wastewater services, and yet it's not on the radar of water and wastewater utilities, the cost wise. I mean, it's just a necessary thing, and it's necessary for our operations, but there's not a lot of focus on what we can do about that. And I think that's a challenge I know that we have at Great Lakes, and throughout the industry, I think that's an ongoing thing, is how do we get more acceptance from management to address these things or pay attention.
Yeah, we've just to kind of add to that a little bit, is we have had a relatively recent change in our upper management, and our new chief administrative officer. So new, he stepped in November 2019. He is a lot more interested in climate action than our previous CAO. So on the GHG emissions management side of our energy management coin, there is more interest in the GHG emissions management side of things. But another one of our challenges is that in British Columbia, in our electricity, 96, I think, % of it is hydroelectrically generated. So we really need separate strategies for our emissions management and our cost management. And, you know, even though emissions management is getting a bit more airtime, the electricity management is more a cost management driver, and that's again the part that seems to be the hard one to get traction for. So anyway, enough.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. The rest of the agenda, we'll discuss a little bit about the challenges and goals, the approach and methodology. These, I'm going to forewarn you, some of these are Cello's slides. So if I'm struggling through, I may toss it to the expert. But we'll go through the same approaches, I think, that was used under the UAIM project. The capability maturity model is fundamental, and strengthening the team. I'll ask now and I'll ask later. Help us get more participation in this team. This is the kickoff meeting. We're at the very beginning of the project, but to be effective, I think we need more participation as time goes on. So the WISE initiatives, we are in year one, day one. WISE has 6 groups and 10 different activities going on. So there's the team people, which is focused on workforce organizational culture, change management, which is fundamental to the whole project. CIP, which has been a strength of the UAIM project, I know, asset management, asset risk, and now here, this is a new initiative, the team energy and energy management. This is going to work closely with the analytics. I think as the project progresses, there'll be a lot of metrics coming out of us and metrics going into the analytics, and the team analytics looks at technology and data analytics. So our scope and time commitment, right now we're looking at biweekly status update meetings. The participants, the people that, you know, we want as many participants as we can get to keep people engaged in the project and in this team. But another focus will be the core team. That's going to be more the heavy lifting. So the people who can work on the deliverables, work on a more regular basis than the biweekly meetings. We're going to be expecting a little bit more, preparing case studies, conducting the pilot implementation at your utility, and down the road presenting at conferences and webinars. And this is the improvement methodology steps. We're going to be looking through this process, this 6-step process of assessing the current system maturity, analyzing our as-is state, designing our to-be state, and then and we have a timeline associated with this later. Then we move forward with planning improvements, implementing, monitoring, seeing how that plan and improvement, reporting out on the effectiveness of that. So that's the continuous improvement model that this project will be following. So this, I think, is a pretty aggressive timeline, but what we would like to see in the first year is the first 3 months, select a business process and develop a business process model. Do that as is, analyze that as is. Where are we today? What is the process? And design the to be. Where do we want to be? That's a first 3 month goal. The next 3 months, develop that improvement plan, define the change management strategy around that plan, and define the targets, the success targets. And then the second half of that first year, execute the improvement plan, document results, prepare the guidelines. So this is just estimate. This really is depending on how much effort we can put into it, how much resources you have at your utility. The complexity of the process, of course, is going to be a major factor. If it's a more complex process, it's going to take more time. Cello?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention for some folks who are new and just kind of joining, we have on that previous project, UAIM, we have spent 4 years with a number of utilities. We had about 24 in the last year of UAIM doing business process modeling. So we have support, which means we have guidelines that we can provide. We have Mike Barnett is our subject matter expert who can help you review these business process models. So when we originally started this, this effort 4 years ago, the idea of business process modeling was a little bit kind of strange, I guess, to many people. Maybe as strange as energy management is to some people today. So if you're wondering about what this really means to do business process modeling and all this, we'd be just ping me. You should have my email. I'll provide you with guidelines. We can have one-on-one phone calls. Our role is to give you support on these activities. So there are people here to support you on this. So I just wanted to mention so people don't kind of get, they don't wonder, if they're going to have to do this on their own, Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the UAIM project has tons of resources that came out of that project. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of documents and case studies that can support your efforts if you're new to this process. I know several members here were involved with that, but if you weren't involved with that, there's a lot of resources that Cello can provide for business process modeling. Scott, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to maybe ask Cello to also speak to where you have this work plan laid out, distinguish between what the team might do versus this scope relative to each individual utility.
That's an excellent point. There are some things that we do collaboratively, and there are some things that are happening independently in each utility. So the meetings, the discussions, so for example, when it comes to business process modeling, you would select a part of your energy management, the whole thing. You'd select what exactly process you want to focus on. Collaboratively, we may develop a business process for all of, a higher level for energy management. But the actual improvements in a specific utilities would be done, by, for example, at Great Lakes, Eric will take the lead, and in Louisville MSD, Zonetta will take the lead. So we'll combine practical and immediate, a payback and value efforts in each utilities But also we're gonna have, we're gonna have these in these meetings. People will share. This is how we do things. This is how we do things, and learn from each other. So it's a combination of collaborative work and then independent work specifically to make improvements in each of the agencies. Thank you, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep. So our goal deliverables for year one is those business process models, the as-is to be for selected processes of your choice for the utility.
Energy management, not CIP planning. I'm sorry.
I don't know how I missed that as well. Define metrics, pilot implementations, case studies from pilot implementations, shared artifacts, updated guidelines, and updates to the water sector value model. So there's really two objectives here: is developing best practices down the road, and bettering your utility at the utility as a participant, and make a contribution, for the sector as a whole. And we also want to use these methodologies to get these collaborative opportunities out there and actually implement some of these changes that we're looking to make. Those are our goals. So, we did spend a good amount of time on the introductions, but, what I wanted to kind of ask the participants was, have a chance. Some people touched on these, not everybody, but what does energy management look like at your utility? What are your challenges or pain points? Those are the drivers around energy management, and what are the energy management goals of your utility. So, and I'll start, energy management, George mentioned it for his organization. At GLWA, today, energy management is me. We have 5 water treatment plants, 1 wastewater, gigantic wastewater plant, 19 booster stations, 9 lift stations, CSO stations, remote sites, all that stuff. We spend $50 million a year in energy, and the team is me. Now we're looking to add a power quality engineer, which will help with the reliability side. So that's posted. So I can't complain too much. My team will double hopefully soon, and we're also petitioning to add 1 more member as a project management type thing. But it's it's a big effort. Energy management is not you could have 2 energy managers for our wastewater facility. We use 20 megawatts is our peak at this facility, and we have hundreds of processes that could all really be looked at in an energy management way to see how we're using our energy. The challenges at GLWA and pain points, when I've been in this role for 2 years, and it was data. When I was not from an energy management background, when I got up to speed on what it means to be an energy manager, all it is data. You have to understand your usage to manage your energy. And so you start some utilities, and I have old projects where they started their analysis with our bills, and our bills just tell, here's your kilowatt hours for the month, and here's your peak half hour if we're on that type of tariff for that particular facility. We need a lot more data than that to understand our cost drivers and our peaking factors that we're experiencing. Here at GLWA, we're not doing a lot of generation, so we're really just trying to manage our energy usage, and where can we influence and reduce costs, where can we improve or change operations, and really that's energy cost management, because at the end of the day, you're going to use the energy. We're going to pump the water, but is there opportunities to save money by pumping it at night, like was mentioned, or we have a peak period that's 11 to 7. So our rate is a lot higher from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then within that peak time, our highest half hour of the month, for example, gets charged as a demand charge. And that's in Detroit. Around the country, I know there's a bunch of different rate structures. So I'm sure that there's challenges around managing your costs depending on what your rate structure are. So, and then at GLWA, our goals really at this time is to reduce those peaks, and we aren't looking at purchasing renewable. Greenhouse gas emissions is, I think, a huge concern to everyone. In Detroit, we're also have the challenge of serving a lower income population. So we have to be cost effective, both for how we spend our energy dollars, but DTE, our electrical provider, offers us to buy green energy versus our regular purchase, and that's at a premium of 20 to 30 to 40% higher than what we purchase, and realistically we can't afford to do that for our customers. So our goal is really energy reduction. We're doing a lot of little things like LED lights all over, our facilities, which is a small thing when you look at how much energy we use, but it's still there. It's also a large thing when you think about how many facilities and how we just changed out 1,500 4-foot lights at one of our plants. So it's not a big deal because down in the room there's a 2,000 horsepower motor that's pumping waters, but it's something. So it's a reduction. And then our other reduction goals come down to our CIP projects and right sizing our system. We're more than twice the size that we need to be today for water distribution. We're at 1,700 MGD max capacity, and our max day this summer was more like 650. So we're looking at decommissioning a water plant. We're more VFDs, right sizing pumps because of our low demand. A lot of times we're pumping up against throttled valves, for instance. And when you actually get sub-metering and you look at how much energy you use when you pump against the throttle valve, it's pretty disheartening, actually. So those are big jobs. Those are big efforts, but that's where we are at GLWA. So I'd like to invite anybody, if you want to hit these questions. Where is the energy management team at your utility? Your challenges today and your goals going forward. And Scott, I see you have your hand up. I don't know if you want to add something. Oh, okay.
I'm put it down. Sorry about that.
Okay, so whoever wants to add to this conversation.
I can jump in. We have an energy team, so we are leveraging funding that's available through the state, and it comes from it's a fee that's attached to Oregon utility. These are, I think, investor-owned utility rates. So it only applies to the investor-owned utilities. In Oregon, we have community-owned utilities. They tend to be more rural-based utilities, and then they're public utilities, basically. And then we have investor-owned utilities, and that's more in the Portland metro area. And so there's a fee on the electric bill that pays for. It's the Energy Trust of Oregon. And they help us and other utilities with and just industrial facilities with our energy management. They have panel of consultants that you can choose from that comes out and helps us organize around this. So, you know, there's a whole process. People definitely relates to the people side of the equation, getting people interested in it, and then you know, finding folks that will carve out some time to dedicate to it. And it's just in general, it's a process of going through your plant, looking for kind of low-hung fruit, you know, cost-effective ways. They call them treasure hunts. We kind of walk the tunnels and the various pads and skids and process areas, and look for things that might be like, you know, we would find the deadhead valve that's closed, or we would find you know, the air leaks in our instrument air system. You know, we go through and try to identify that, and a list. We create a big spreadsheet list and go through that list, and we meet. I think we meet bi-weekly, I want to say. So I'm new to that group and I'm just learning it, but that's the upshot of it. And then we get I want to say we get some. Well, we get the savings, of course, on the energy, and then we can report that out, and it helps to build this sort of this managerial support for the cause. So it's a bit of a crusade mentality, as Eric, as the sole the sole person in a large utility with a ginormous energy demand. You know, we don't have that position, but we're not nearly as large. At the same time, you know, getting it taken seriously, that is the key. So anyway, that's what we do. I can find out more about that program because, like I said, I'm not fully strapped into it yet. I attend the meetings, but that's something I can report on. And the other thing that I would throw out is statewide. We have an organization called Oregon Aqua, which is the Oregon Association of Clean Water Agencies. And there is an energy committee. I chair that committee. I've chaired that committee for the last 5 years. And we're focused a lot on the regulatory side of our energy woes and opportunities. And so that's another maybe tie-in to this group.
Yeah, and actually bringing up you working with your utility a little bit, we do have a resource that DTE provided us, and I think might be available in different areas in the country. Is they have assigned us an energy manager that works for DTE, but he's helped me with some of the metrics and looking at and rebates, which I assume are pretty common nationwide, but in our area we can get up to $1 million a year in rebates. Of course, that you have to save a lot of energy to get much of any rebate, but with our LED lighting and things like that, he's done a lot of the legwork, and this year we're going to get close to $100,000 just in past work we've done, mostly with lighting. But with the bigger projects, when you do a pumping change out, when we prove out our certain energy savings, we can do an application and get some more significant money rebated for those projects.
Yeah, it's similar. We get a rebate on investments that we make to save energy, and we have to prove them out.
Yeah. Anyone else want to tell us about your utility, your energy team, and challenges and goals?
Hey, George.
Sure, I'll go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Keith. I was going to wake George up because he said some things previously, but Keith, you're also awesome as well.
You're my mentor, John, so just remember that.
I don't know.
Yeah, so all the things that you guys have been talking about are we've been working on, you know, off and on. We've done a retrofit in our main building of all of the lights and gone to LEDs, replaced all those strips. And so they've been working on lots of those things. And we're probably going to have to get our energy management guys to join this group if we really want to have some conversations about what they've been working on and where they're going, because they don't really share that with us. So our job is really try to figure out if there are ways that we can bring a process change or equipment change, or bring in some kind of a new tool to help better manage the energy usage we have. And so, as I mentioned, we've started a working group with our maintenance people to talk about how we could better monitor pump efficiencies. And there are a number of different tools out there that we could do that. Our challenge is that we have to get those guys to agree on a pilot project before we can do a pilot project. So I'm a little concerned about, having the pilot project in this, in these goals, because that's not something that we can do by ourselves. But we may be able to support other people doing pilot projects. I'm not sure. But that's, I can't give you specifics on, what programs we're working on, other than what I mentioned earlier, with, the bioenergy facility, and, all of our capital projects look at energy costs and energy management as part of the design criteria. So I know we've installed variable speed drives and on a number of our pumps, and in the last, I don't know what, James, 5 years when doing that. So we've been making, incremental progress at a lot of these issues. But again, that's really not my focus. We're really trying to help. I think we've just identified that reliability and maintenance was the area where we can get somebody's attention and maybe bring some tools to help them better manage that. But again, we'll have to see if we can get one of our energy managers to join the team, and if they can, great. If I don't know what their time looks like, or if they would be interested, but we'll try. So I'm not going to promise a lot, because it's not, some of that's not within my control. Anybody have any other questions, or?
I'll add a little. I think I answered most of Eric's questions at a high level. But I guess more specifically, what I'm thinking as far as my objective of getting more traction for the program, for our program, it would be, I think, really beneficial for me to be able to start sharing and comparing some key performance indicator data with other utilities. We participate in AWWA benchmarking, which, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure why we do that, but we do it. And the energy management component of that benchmarking, it always comes down to, it's a huge pot. There's always excuses for, there's dozens of utilities in there. There's so many differences from one to another. What do we glean out of this, if anything? So I think being able to kind of identify participants in this group who have a good methodology for monitoring and tracking energy use at the unit process level, not just even the whole plant rolled into one. But my goal is to be able to, one of my goals is to be able to have energy managed right at the pump level or right at the blower level, that shows this unit process is operating efficiently. We've got alarms in place when things start moving out of the acceptable range, and we can roll that up into the plant level, and then we can roll it up into the utility level, with the overall objective of what our policy says is to demonstrate continuous improvement. And that's all data driven. I have to kind of give thanks to whoever it was many years ago at Metro Vancouver who started investing in instrumentation. We are data rich where we are. What's embarrassing is we don't use that data nearly as much as we should be. We have the objective of our drinking water standards and our effluent discharge from wastewater treatment plants, and anything that relates to those two metrics, the instrumentation is used very well, but we've got a lot of other data that we don't use at all. And it's kind of a good position to be in, because I think once we get traction for this, we have the data, we have the instruments, and we're going to be able to do something really, really great here, I think. So understanding how others are doing it, and perhaps a little bit of real kind of competition where we can actually, you know, leap over that AWWA excuse that, you know, you can't get much out of this data, to be able to say, well, you know what, here's a couple of other utilities that are whatever using aeration processes, and this is how much electricity they're using to knock their BOD down by however much. So it's kind of, that's, I think in our organization, a little bit of that kind of competition is going to go a long way. There's really very little that our operations can do to refute a like-to-like comparison. My O&M is continually telling me we're operating as efficiently as we can be. And my response is, well, just prove that to me. Prove to me in data that that's the case. And that's where the conversation tends to end. So anyway.
Well, that's a great point. And I've actually been unsuccessful in searching for good benchmarks. So I have for each of one of my plants what my kilowatt hour per million gallon is. What does that mean? Is it good or bad? I compare it against itself, and I know Michigan's flat, so if I compared it to an area with a lot of elevation change, it's going to be a different story. But at least I don't have those numbers to look at another utility, and maybe that's something this group could look at is benchmarking where some of these processes should be. James, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, so I was just going to tack on to what Keith had said and kind of tie in what you guys have been talking about, you know, the low hanging fruit, the easy things like the LED lights, right? Might be small, but it's easy. You know, one of the things that I've noticed that we've done pretty well is incorporate into any of our standards as far as engineering, as far as even like contract specs that we put out for any consultants that are doing new equipment for little things like, you know, energy efficient motors, right? Energy efficient pumps, like have that written into the procedure so that, you know, it's not overlooked when it comes to like the maintenance guys replacing a motor or a pump, you know, to be trying to be mindful of getting the energy efficient equipment, and then consultants, when you have consultant doing a big job, you know, make sure that that's you know, tied into kind of the whole picture as far as how they design things.
Eric, I think it's a great discussion. We're a little bit close to you know, our time. So to keep people from being late for the next call, I'm sure some of you have calls back to back. Maybe we can just send them notes about action items instead of going into the slide now, if that's okay with you, Eric?
Yep, that sounds great.
And so we'll send, we all appreciate you guys joining the team and being with us, and Eric taking the, the heavy lift on this. We will give you meeting minutes and notes from this, and also information where we're going to be posting all the information that there's going to be, it's going to be shared on OneDrive. So just to be sensitive to your time, we'll follow up with the email.